Hands where we can see them!
Is there a problem, officer?
Let me tell you a story that'll shake you to your core. A story about honor, betrayal, and the kind of courage that saves lives, both on the battlefield and in our own backyards. Before we dive into the story, I need you to do something for me. If you're watching this for the first time, hit that subscribe button. Because stories like this, they need to be told. They need to be heard. They need to be remembered so they never, ever happen again. It was just another Saturday evening in the quiet suburbs of Memphis, Tennessee. The kind of evening where you can smell charcoal smoke drifting between houses, hear children's laughter echoing down tree-lined streets, and feel the weight of the work week finally lifting off your shoulders. David Matthews stood at his barbecue grill, spatula in hand, watching burgers sizzle and pop. His 8-year-old daughter, Emma, was giggling at the picnic table, trying to stack plastic cups into an impossible tower. His teenage son, Jordan, scrolled through his phone while half listening to his mother, Rebecca, tell a story about something funny that happened at work. It was perfect, simple, ordinary. And then, it all shattered. 3 police cruisers came screaming into the driveway like bats out of hell. Tires screeched, doors slammed. The evening air, once filled with laughter, suddenly went electric with tension. David set down his spatula slowly. His eyes tracked the movement of 6 hands resting near 6 holsters. His body language shifted, just slightly, in a way most people wouldn't notice. But if you'd been trained to look, you'd see it. The subtle repositioning, the calculated awareness. 23 years of military training doesn't just disappear because you're flipping burgers in suburbia. Hands where we can see them. The lead detective, a man named Harrison, barked the command like David was a threat, not a neighbor, not a father, not a veteran who'd given 2 decades of his life to this country. David raised both palms, calm, controlled. Is there a problem, officer? Before anyone could answer, the second officer, a younger guy with hungry eyes named Carter, shoved David hard in the chest. The spatula hit the concrete with a sharp metallic clang that seemed to echo forever. Emma started crying, and in that moment, David's eyes locked onto Harrison's badge number. 3952. His mind, trained by years of missions where one wrong detail could cost lives, filed it away automatically, and these officers had no idea who they were dealing with. But they were about to find out. "Everyone stay calm," David said, his voice carrying a weight, an authority that didn't match the casual backyard scene. Rebecca stepped forward, confusion and fear battling in her eyes. "This is our home. We're having dinner. What's going on?" "Ma'am, step back." Carter blocked her path like she was a criminal. David kept his hands visible, every movement deliberate. "Officers, I served this country for 23 years. I work at the Community Hope Center downtown. You can verify everything I'm telling you." Harrison actually laughed, a cold, dismissive sound that cut through the evening air. "Sure you did, hero. Let's see some ID." David reached for his wallet slowly, the way you move when you know trigger-happy hands are watching. Ma Harrison snatched it from him, flipped through it like he was looking for a losing lottery ticket. Driver's license, Veterans Affairs card, and there, on a chain, dog tags. Harrison picked them up, examined them for maybe 3 seconds, then tossed them onto the concrete like trash. "Army surplus," he said with a smirk. "Probably bought these at a pawn shop." The metal tags jingled against the pavement. David's jaw tightened, but he didn't speak. Couldn't speak. Because in that moment, his phone started buzzing. Unknown number. Area code 202. Washington, D.C. Carter grabbed the phone. "Washington, huh? Probably your dealer." The phone kept vibrating in Carter's grip, insistent, urgent. But they ignored it. A 4th patrol car pulled up. Officer Lisa Chen stepped out and surveyed the scene with sharp, trained eyes. She'd done 2 tours in Iraq with the military police. She knew what real soldiers looked like, and David Matthews, hands raised, protecting his family while maintaining visual contact with 3 armed officers, moved like the real deal. Her eyes fell on the dog tags scattered on the ground. She'd seen enough veterans to know genuine from fake. "What's the situation?" Chen asked Harrison. "Neighborhood complaint, possible narcotics." Harrison pocketed David's phone with a satisfied grin. "Just checking out our local war hero here." The missed call from Washington kept buzzing against Harrison's uniform. He ignored it. Chen watched David's controlled breathing, his tactical positioning, the way he kept himself between the officers and his crying daughter. This wasn't panic. This was training. "Sir, on what branch did you serve?" Chen asked directly. "Army Special Operations," David replied quietly. Carter snorted. "Special Operations, right? Hear that, Chen? We got ourselves a Navy SEAL." "Army," David corrected, his voice flat. "Not Navy." The distinction hung in the air. Chen's instincts screamed at her. Real veterans don't mess up those details when they're lying. Harrison spread his feet wide across the perfect lawn. "We're searching these premises. Everyone line up against the house." "You need a warrant for that," David said calmly. "We got probable cause. Suspicious gathering. Large groups of people. Possible cash transactions." Rebecca's voice shook. "Cash transactions? We bought groceries. This is a family barbecue." Carter advanced on Jordan like a predator. "You carrying anything illegal, kid? Drugs? Weapons? Leave my children alone." David stepped forward protectively. Harrison slammed his palm against David's chest, hard. But David barely moved. He absorbed the impact like an oak tree absorbing wind. Harrison blinked, surprised by the solid wall of muscle he'd just encountered. "Ma'am, you and the kids need to line up against that wall. Now." Carter's voice dripped with aggression. "This is harassment," Rebecca protested. "We live here. We haven't done anything wrong." Chen tried to intervene. "Sir, maybe we should—" "Chen, secure the family." Harrison cut her off. "I'll check the vehicle." David watched Harrison approach his pickup truck with the kind of focused intensity that comes from watching enemy combatants in war zones. Every muscle coiled. His training recognized what was coming. This was a setup. Maniema pressed against Rebecca's leg, sobbing. She didn't understand why these strangers were yelling at Daddy. Why her perfect Saturday had exploded into nightmare. Harrison circled the truck bed slowly, opened the tailgate, made a show of examining the toolbox. Then his hand disappeared behind the spare tire. Chen positioned herself between Carter and the terrified children. Something felt fundamentally wrong. The timeline, the aggression, the lack of procedure. "Got something here?" Harrison called out dramatically. David's hands remained steady. He'd seen this performance before. Different country, different uniform, same corruption. Harrison emerged from the truck bed holding a small plastic baggie. White powder visible inside. He held it up like a trophy. "Well, well, well. Look what we have here." Neighbors emerged from their houses. Now Mrs. Rodriguez from next door. The Park family from across the street. The Williams couple from 2 houses down. Phone cameras started recording. "That's not mine," David stated flatly. "They all say that." Harrison sealed the baggie in an evidence envelope. "Cocaine, felony possession with intent to distribute." Rebecca gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "That's impossible. David doesn't even drink." Carter grinned. "Looks like your husband's been lying to you, lady." Chen watched Harrison's movements. Too smooth. Too practiced. She'd witnessed 3 drug busts this month with Harrison leading. Same exact routine every time. David's combat-trained mind analyzed the tactical situation. 3 armed officers, growing crowd of witnesses, planted evidence now in custody, his family in potential crossfire. The smart play was compliance and patience. I want to speak with your supervisor, David requested. Harrison stepped closer, invading his space. You'll speak with whoever I decide. His breath reeked of stale coffee and something else. His badge reflected the porch light. 3952. David memorized it. Military habit. Dad! Jordan's voice cracked with fear. It's going to be okay, Jordan. Stay with your mother and sister. Chen noticed how David kept his voice level. Most suspects would be screaming by now, calling lawyers, making threats. Harrison pulled out handcuffs. David Matthews, you're under arrest. On what charges? Possession of controlled substances with intent to distribute, resisting arrest, interfering with investigation. I haven't resisted anything, Carter laughed. You're resisting right now, asking questions. That's resistance. Jordan moved forward instinctively. Leave my dad alone. Chen caught his arm. Easy, son. Stay back. Harrison yanked David's arms behind his back. The handcuffs clicked with unnecessary force. Cold steel bit into his wrists, deliberately tight. You have the right to remain silent. Rebecca's voice broke. David, what do we do? Call my brother Marcus. Tell him exactly what happened. Get our lawyer. Anything you say can and will be used against you. The crowd grew, more phones recording. Mrs. Rodriguez shook her head in disbelief. The Matthews family had lived here 5 years. Model citizens. David helped her carry groceries every week. Carter opened the patrol car door. Watch your head, drug dealer. He shoved David hard. Deliberate excess force. David didn't stumble, didn't cry out, now just moved with controlled grace. Chen stepped between Carter and Emma, who was still crying. Chen's own service in Iraq taught her to recognize real soldiers. David Matthews moved with Special Forces precision. You have the right to an attorney during questioning. Harrison finished the Miranda warning. David looked back at his family one last time. Rebecca held both children tight. Emma's tears shone under the streetlights like tiny diamonds of broken innocence. Remember what I taught you about staying strong, he told them. Harrison slammed the car door. The sound echoed like a gunshot across the quiet suburban neighborhood. Chen pulled out her phone as the patrol car disappeared. Something about this arrest stank. Harrison's evidence discovery felt staged. She'd witnessed enough corruption to recognize the patterns. Inside the patrol car, David sat with handcuffs cutting into his wrists. The metal cage separated him from Harrison and Carter up front. Another drug dealer off the streets, Carter muttered. Community's safer already, Harrison replied, adjusting his mirror to watch David. Through the window, David saw his family still on the lawn, Rebecca holding both children. Jordan's fists clenched, neighbors still filming, 5 years of barbecues and block parties. Now they were watching their neighbor get arrested. Bet you thought you had it figured out, Harrison said, eyes meeting David's in the mirror. David didn't respond. Silence protects you when the system turns corrupt. Carter turned around. Cat got your tongue, hero? The handcuffs dug deeper. David shifted position slightly, Harrison noticed. Too tight? Y'all should have thought about that before dealing drugs. I've never touched narcotics in my life, David said quietly. Save it for the judge. The radio crackled with dispatch reports. Normal Saturday night in Memphis. Lives falling apart in predictable patterns. David studied their body language. Harrison's confidence. Carter's cruelty. They'd done this before. How many other families have you destroyed? David asked. Harrison's eyes flashed in the mirror. What did you say? Nothing. Sounded like an accusation. Carter grinned. Maybe we should add threatening an officer to his charges. They pulled into the station parking lot. Fluorescent lights flooded everything. End of the line, dealer, Harrison said. Inside the station, the desk sergeant, gray-haired, tired eyes, 20 years of processing arrests, barely looked up. Matthews? I, David. Drug possession with intent. Booking room 3 is open. They pushed David down a narrow hallway. Fluorescent lights flickered, the smell of disinfectant and stale coffee. Chen entered behind them, phone in hand, expression troubled. In booking room 3, Carter removed the handcuffs. David's wrists showed angry red marks. Empty your pockets, Harrison ordered. Everything on the table. Wallet, keys, a small pocket knife, breath mints, a folded piece of paper. Carter unfolded it, a child's drawing. Stick figures labeled Daddy, Mommy, Jordan, and me. A house with smoke from the chimney. A dog. Cute, Carter said, crumpling it. Sit down and shut up, he told David. Chen appeared in the doorway. Harrison, I need to speak with you. We're processing. It's about the arrest, background check questions. Harrison looked up. What kind of questions? Standard verification, department policy. Harrison sighed. Fine, make it quick. Chen sat at her computer terminal, fingers flying across the keyboard. Background check on David Matthews. The system loaded slowly. Saturday night servers. Criminal history, none. Clean record. Employment history, Community Hope Center volunteer coordinator. Part-time mechanic at Rodriguez Auto Shop. Long gaps in employment. Veterans often struggled with civilian transitions. She clicked deeper into federal databases. Military service verification. The screen asked for authorization codes. Find anything? Harrison appeared behind her chair. Still processing. Guy's a drug dealer. What else do you need? Just following protocol. Authorization request submitted to Veterans Affairs database. The computer beeped. A new data populated. Chen's eyes widened. Military service, United States Army. 23 years active duty. Special Operations Command. Multiple overseas deployments. Classification level, top secret /SCI. Holy, Chen whispered. Harrison read over her shoulder. What's that supposed to mean? Chen clicked for more details. Most data remained classified above her clearance. Service branch, Army Special Operations Forces. Unit designation, classified. Final rank, classified. Discharge status, honorable. Decorations, classified. This guy was legitimate special forces, Chen said quietly. Anyone can fake records online. Chen knew better. She'd served 2 tours. Real military databases don't lie. Classification levels like this meant serious operators, Delta Force, the people who do things that never make the news. Yeah, she picked up her desk phone, dialed the Veterans Affairs verification hotline. This is Officer Chen, Memphis PD. I need service verification on a suspect in custody. She provided David's information. Hold, please. Chen waited. Harrison hovered nearby. Ma'am, the duty officer returned. I'm transferring you to my supervisor. Why? This file requires special handling. The line went quiet. Hold music. Chen's heart rate increased. Special handling meant one thing in military circles. A new voice. Older. Authoritative. This is Sergeant Major Collins. Who am I speaking with? Officer Lisa Chen, Memphis Police Department. I'm conducting background verification on David Matthews. Yes, ma'am. A long pause. Papers shuffling. Officer Chen, what is Mr. Matthews' current status? He's in custody on drug charges. Another pause. Longer. Ma'am, I need to transfer you to the Pentagon. Chen's stomach dropped. The Pentagon? Stand by. Harrison stopped pretending to work. What's going on? I'm being transferred to the Pentagon for a drug dealer. Click. A different voice. Female. Professional. This is Colonel Sarah Martinez, Pentagon Personnel Office. Officer Chen? Yes, ma'am. You're calling about Colonel Matthews? Chen nearly dropped the phone. Colonel? Retired Colonel David Matthews, Medal of Honor recipient. Is he safe? The words hit Chen like a physical blow. Medal of Honor, the nation's highest military decoration, given only for extraordinary heroism in combat. Ma'am, he's in custody. We arrested him for drug possession. Silence. Keyboards clicking rapidly in the background. Officer Chen, there has been a serious mistake. Yet Colonel Matthews is a national hero. He saved 42 soldiers under enemy fire in Afghanistan. Chen looked across the bullpen. Harrison processed paperwork. Carter joked near the coffee machine. They had no idea what they'd done. What should I do? Chen asked quietly. First, ensure his safety. Second, I'm dispatching people to your location immediately. What kind of people? The kind who don't appreciate American heroes being treated like criminals. The line went dead. Chen stared at the receiver. Her hands shook. Harrison approached. Well, what did they say? They're verifying his service record, she lied smoothly. Good. Probably stolen valor case. But Chen knew better. She opened a browser and searched Medal of Honor recipients. The official website loaded. She scrolled through recent recipients. There. David Matthews. And a photograph showed him 20 years younger in army dress uniform. The Medal of Honor hung around his neck. President Obama shook his hand. The citation read, "For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty while serving as company commander, Delta Force, during combat operations against enemy forces in Kandahar Province, Afghanistan." Chen's blood ran cold. Delta Force, the most elite special operations unit in the American military. Harrison had planted drugs on a Delta Force Medal of Honor recipient. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Package confirmed. Birds in the air, ETA 20 minutes. Chen deleted the message. She looked around the bullpen. Normal Saturday night. Officers writing reports. Phones ringing. None of them realized that in 20 minutes, their world would change forever. Chen walked toward the holding cells. Her phone buzzed again. Officer Chen. Yes? This is General Patricia Miller's aide. We have assets moving to your location. Chen stopped walking. 4-star generals don't get involved in local drug arrests. What kind of assets? The kind that ensure Colonel Matthews' safety. The line disconnected. Outside the station windows, she noticed unusual vehicle movement. Black SUVs with government plates circling the building. In booking room 3, David sat calmly. Harrison finished paperwork. Carter scrolled through his phone. Your background check is taking forever, Harrison told David. Sometimes these things require patience, David replied quietly. Carter looked up. Listen to this hero. He's still playing the role. But David's military bearing was unmistakable now. Perfect posture despite handcuffs. Controlled breathing. Alert awareness. Outside, more vehicles arrived. Engines idled. Footsteps on asphalt. Radio chatter increased. Chen appeared in the doorway. Harrison, I need to speak with you privately. In the hallway, she lowered her voice. His military service is legitimate. So what? Doesn't change the drugs. His service record shows special classifications. What kind? The kind that require Pentagon verification. Harrison's confidence wavered. Pentagon? I had to call them for clearance confirmation. In the booking room, David heard fragments of conversation. Pentagon verification. Special classifications? The system was starting to understand. Carter remained oblivious, scrolling social media. How long does this take? Depends on the circumstances, David answered. He listened to radio chatter. Multiple units receiving new assignments. Perimeter patrol requests. Someone was coordinating movement around the station. Harrison returned. His demeanor changed. Less confident, more nervous. Wilson says your military story checks out. It's not a story. Carter put away his phone. Big deal. Lots of people serve. Harrison looked at David more carefully. The stillness, the tactical awareness, the positioning. What unit did you serve with? Special Operations Command. Be specific. David met his eyes. The kind of unit that doesn't discuss specifics. Outside, diesel engines rumbled. Heavy vehicles moving into position. Chen peered through blinds. Military transport trucks, communication vans, personnel carriers. Not her phone buzzed. Perimeter established, awaiting final authorization. Harrison noticed increased activity. Lot of traffic tonight. Saturday night in Memphis, Chen said. But this wasn't normal traffic. This was a coordinated military operation. David finally spoke. I'm entitled to one phone call. Harrison hesitated. Something about the man's tone demanded respect. Yeah, one call. Chen escorted David to the interrogation room. Small, windowless, metal table bolted to the floor. Recording equipment in corners. Even handcuffed, David's posture remained perfect. He immediately assessed sightlines and exits. Professional habit. Harrison entered with a notepad. Carter followed. Before we begin, Chen said, Mr. Matthews is entitled to his phone call. Harrison unlocked one handcuff. The receiver felt cold in David's hand. He dialed from memory. A number most people don't know exists. 2 rings. Pentagon Emergency Services. This is Colonel David Matthews, service number 6271-8492-1156. I need to speak with General Miller's office. Harrison rolled his eyes. Pentagon Emergency Services. Right. The operator's voice became sharp, professional. Colonel Matthews, please hold. Classical music briefly, then a familiar voice. David. Jesus Christ, where are you? Harrison leaned forward, trying to listen. The voice sounded genuinely concerned, authoritative. I'm in custody at Memphis Police Department. General, there's been a misunderstanding. Someone planted narcotics in my vehicle. My family witnessed it. Silence, papers rustling. Are you injured? Negative, but they're treating this as legitimate. Stand by, David. I don't say anything until our people arrive. Harrison reached for the phone. That's enough. General, they're cutting the line. Roger that. Help is coming. Harrison hung up. Pentagon Emergency Services. You're good. I'll give you that. Carter laughed. Academy Award performance. Chen studied David. The call didn't sound like theater. The voice knew details. Used military terminology correctly. Who was that really? Chen asked. General Patricia Miller, 4 stars. She commanded my unit in Afghanistan. Harrison scoffed. 4-star generals don't take random calls from drug dealers. They do from Medal of Honor recipients. The words hung in the small room. Medal of Honor. Harrison's confidence cracked. Carter leaned back. Medal of Honor. Sure. David looked directly at Harrison. Operation Steel Thunder, Kandahar Province. September 18th, 2009. 44 soldiers trapped behind enemy lines. I led the extraction team. The specific details sounded authentic. Military precision, no hesitation. Anyone can memorize dates, Harrison said, but his voice lacked conviction. 42 men came home alive. 2 didn't make it. Sergeant Michael Torres. Private First Class James Chen. Chen's head snapped up. James Chen. Your brother? Chen's face went pale. How do you know about my brother? He was in my company. Good soldier. Saved 2 wounded men before the IED got him. Tears formed in Chen's eyes. Her brother died in Afghanistan 9 years ago. She never talked about him at work. He carried pictures of his little sister, police academy graduation, said she wanted to serve her country too. Chen's hands shook. Those details aren't public. Your military casualty reports don't include family photos. James talked about home constantly, David continued. Said his sister Lisa was tougher than most Marines. Wanted to make the world safer. He said that every day, Chen whispered. He was proud of you. The room fell silent. Air conditioning hummed. Fluorescent lights buzzed. Harrison realized he was losing control. Enough family stories. Let's talk about the cocaine. David turned back to Harrison. You planted that evidence. Prove it. I don't have to. The people coming will prove it for me. Carter checked his watch. What people? Through the walls they heard increased activity. Multiple conversations, urgent movement. David smiled for the first time. Old friends. They don't like it when brothers get mistreated. 19 minutes after David's Pentagon call, the front doors of the Memphis Police Department burst open. General Patricia Miller strode through the entrance, 4 stars gleaming on her collar. Behind her, Pentagon officials in dark suits carried briefcases and equipment. The desk sergeant looked up in shock. Ma'am, can I help you? I'm here for Colonel Matthews. Her voice carried absolute authority. Harrison emerged from the break room, coffee in hand. He stopped when he saw the military delegation filling his lobby. What the hell? General Miller approached directly. Are you the arresting officer? Detective Harrison, and you are? General Patricia Miller, United States Army. I understand you have one of my soldiers in custody. Carter appeared beside Harrison, eyes wide. Your soldier? Miller's aide opened a briefcase, removed official documents. Colonel David Matthews, a Medal of Honor recipient, currently held on fabricated drug charges. Harrison's face flushed. Fabricated? We found cocaine in his truck. Detective Harrison, you made a serious mistake tonight. The aide connected a laptop to the station's main display. High-definition video began playing. Combat footage from Afghanistan. Helmet cameras. A devastating firefight. Enemy fire from multiple directions. American soldiers pinned down. Explosions rocking the desert. Operation Steel Thunder, Miller narrated. September 18, 2009. 44 soldiers trapped behind enemy lines. The footage showed a figure in combat gear moving through enemy fire. Impossibly brave, dragging wounded soldiers to safety one by one. Taking fire while shielding others. Chen recognized the movements. Same build. Same tactical awareness she'd witnessed during the arrest. That's Colonel Matthews, Miller continued. He made 8 trips through enemy fire, saved 42 men. Harrison stared at the screen in horror. The footage was undeniably authentic. Military timestamp. GPS coordinates. Official documentation. Carter shook his head. This doesn't change the drugs. Miller's aide produced another document. Polygraph examination results from Colonel Matthews' Medal of Honor investigation. Perfect truthfulness scores on all questions regarding drug use. Polygraphs aren't admissible. This one is, Miller interrupted. Presidential Medal of Honor recipients undergo extensive background verification. Drug use. Criminal activity. Moral character. Colonel Matthews passed every test. The aide played audio. President Obama's voice filled the station. Colonel David Matthews demonstrated extraordinary heroism under enemy fire. His actions saved 42 American lives. This nation's highest honor recognizes his selfless courage. Ceremonial music followed. The actual Medal of Honor presentation. White House photographers? Harrison's coffee mug slipped from his fingers. It crashed on the floor, brown liquid spreading across polished tiles. Chen stepped forward. General, there's something else. Detective Harrison has a pattern of evidence planting. 3 similar arrests this month. Same routine. Same planted evidence. Harrison spun toward her. You lying? Language, detective, Miller warned coldly. Chen continued. I've been documenting his activities, suspicious discoveries, convenient evidence placement. I always cases involving minorities. The aide opened a tablet. Pentagon intelligence has been tracking corruption in local law enforcement. Detective Harrison's activities triggered our monitoring. More evidence appeared on screen. Surveillance footage from previous arrests. Harrison planting evidence in vehicles. The same plastic baggie in multiple cases. Identical routine with different suspects. Carter backed away from Harrison. Jesus Christ, Ray, what have you done? That footage is fake, Harrison protested weakly. Miller's aide produced forensic analysis. Plastic baggie fingerprint analysis. Detective Harrison's fingerprints are the only ones on the evidence bag. Not the suspects, just Harrison's. The implications hit everyone. Harrison handled the drugs before planting them. Never wore gloves, assumed no one would check. Chen pulled out her phone, played recorded audio. Harrison's voice. Another drug dealer off the streets. Communities safer. Carter's voice. Guy thought he had it figured out. Harrison. They all say that same thing. The casual discussion of evidence planting. The practiced routine. The complete lack of investigation. Miller's expression hardened. Detective Harrison, you planted narcotics on a Medal of Honor recipient, a man who risked his life to save American soldiers. Harrison tried one last defense. You can't prove... Security camera footage from the Matthews residence, the aide announced. Pentagon intelligence maintains protective surveillance on high-value military assets. New footage played. Crystal clear video of Harrison's evidence planting. His hand disappearing behind the spare tire with the baggie. The entire fabrication recorded in perfect detail. Carter slumped into a chair. Ray, you stupid son of a... What happens now? Chen asked Miller. Detective Harrison and Officer Carter are under arrest for civil rights violations. Federal charges, FBI will process them. As if summoned, FBI agents entered the station. Professional, efficient. They placed handcuffs on Harrison and Carter with the same casual routine Harrison had used on innocent suspects. You can't, Harrison struggled. You have the right to remain silent, an FBI agent began. Anything you say can and will be used against you. The same Miranda rights Harrison had rushed through earlier, now applied to him with perfect legal precision. General Miller walked toward the holding area. Chen escorted her to cell number 2. David stood when he saw his former commanding officer. Even in civilian clothes, even after years, military respect remained automatic. General Miller. Hello, David. I'm sorry this happened. Chen unlocked the door. David stepped out. Free. How's Rebecca? The kids? Miller smiled. FBI is explaining everything to your family. Full apology. Complete exoneration. Your daughter wants to see the Medal of Honor. David's eyes brightened. She's never seen it. Time to change that. They walked toward the exit. Behind them, Harrison and Carter were processed for federal crimes. Justice served. Chen followed outside. Colonel Matthews. David turned. Yes? Thank you for serving with my brother James. Thank you for serving with honor tonight. James would be proud. Chen wiped tears. Her brother died fighting beside this man. Tonight, she'd honored his memory by choosing truth over corruption. Miller's convoy prepared to leave. Military vehicles surrounded the station like protective shields. David looked back at the building. Will they face real consequences? Miller nodded grimly. Federal civil rights violations carry serious prison time. Their law enforcement careers are over. The convoy moved through Memphis toward David's home, toward his family, toward the life corrupt officers tried to destroy. They arrived as the sun set. News vans lined the street. Camera crews positioned themselves. Word spreads fast when Medal of Honor recipients get vindicated. Rebecca ran from the porch before the vehicle stopped. She threw her arms around David's neck, tears streaming. "I knew they were wrong," she whispered. "I always knew." Jordan and Emma emerged cautiously. They'd spent hours watching their neighborhood fill with reporters and officials. David knelt to Emma's level. "I'm sorry you had to see Daddy get arrested, sweetheart." "The bad policeman lied about you," she said with absolute certainty. "Yes, they did. But good people made sure the truth came out." Miller approached carrying a small wooden box with brass hinges. "I thought you might want to show your children something special." Inside, nestled in blue velvet, lay the Medal of Honor, a 5-pointed star suspended from a blue ribbon. The inscription read, "For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of life above and beyond the call of duty." Emma gasped. "It's so pretty, Daddy." "This medal represents the 42 soldiers your father saved," Miller explained to the children. "Yeah, he risked his life so other families could see their loved ones come home." Jordan touched the medal gently. "Dad, why didn't you ever tell us?" "Heroes don't need to announce themselves," David replied. "They just do what's right when the moment demands it." Neighbors gathered respectfully. Mrs. Rodriguez apologized tearfully for not speaking up. The Park family brought homemade cookies. The Williams couple offered to help however they could. A local reporter approached. "Colonel Matthews, how do you feel about tonight's events?" David considered carefully. "I feel grateful that the system worked. Officer Chen chose courage over convenience. She investigated when others accepted easy answers." "What message do you have for Detective Harrison?" "I hope he learns that integrity matters more than statistics, and police officers swear to protect and serve. Tonight showed the difference between officers who honor that oath and those who betray it." Miller addressed the reporters. "Colonel Matthews saved 42 American soldiers in Afghanistan. He came home and continued serving his community quietly. Tonight, corrupt officers targeted him because of prejudice and assumptions. They learned that American heroes come in all shapes and colors." Camera flashes illuminated the evening sky. This story would lead tomorrow's news. Medal of Honor recipient vindicated. Corrupt police exposed. Justice served. Inside the house, Emma carefully held the Medal of Honor, studying its intricate details. "Daddy, were you scared when you saved those soldiers?" David sat beside her. "Yes, sweetheart. Fear is natural. But courage means doing what's right even when you're scared." "Like Officer Chen tonight?" "Exactly like Officer Chen." Rebecca brought coffee for the adults. Miller, Chen, FBI agents finishing paperwork. Their home filled with people dedicated to justice. The police chief arrived to offer personal apologies. Internal Affairs would investigate Harrison's entire career. Every arrest, every evidence discovery. "How many other families suffered like yours?" the chief asked. "That's what your investigation needs to determine," David said. "Justice delayed is justice denied." Outside, the crowd continued growing. Veterans from nearby communities. Police officers who respect integrity. Community leaders who knew David's volunteer work. A young soldier in dress uniform approached. He removed his cap respectfully. "Colonel Matthews, I'm Sergeant Rodriguez. You saved my father in Afghanistan. He's talked about you every day for 13 years. David stood and saluted. "Your father was a brave soldier. How is he?" "Good, sir. He named me after you, David Rodriguez." More stories emerged as evening continued. Children of rescued soldiers, fellow veterans, community members whose lives David touched through quiet service. The barbecue grill still sat in the backyard. Forgotten burgers now cold. What started as simple family dinner became a lesson about heroism hiding in plain sight. Miller prepared to leave. "David, the Army owes you another debt tonight." "No debt, General. Just doing what's right." "The President wants to meet your family. White House ceremony next month." Emma clapped her hands. "We're going to meet the President." "If you want to," Miller smiled. As official vehicles departed, the neighborhood slowly returned to normal. Reporters packed equipment. Government officials completed documentation. Justice served. Truth revealed. Honor restored. David stood on his front porch, arm around Rebecca's shoulders. Their children played safely in the yard. The community gathered around them with renewed respect and understanding. "What now?" Rebecca asked. "Now we remember that heroes walk among us every day. They drive trucks. They volunteer at community centers. They serve quietly without seeking recognition." He looked at the neighbors, the veterans, the police officers who'd chosen integrity over corruption. True heroes don't wear uniforms or demand respect. They earn it through character, service, and sacrifice. Tonight proved that dignity transcends appearance, that justice ultimately prevails when good people choose courage over comfort. The American dream lives on in families like the Matthews, in communities that stand together against injustice, in the simple truth that heroism comes in all forms, waiting quietly for the moment when it's needed most. Because sometimes heroes are just flipping burgers in the backyard, until the moment comes when the world needs to remember what real courage looks like. And on that night in Memphis, Tennessee, courage wore a barbecue apron and dog tags thrown on concrete. Justice wore 4 stars and flew in from the Pentagon. And truth wore a badge too. The right kind of badge, the kind that still believes in honor. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.